You, the followers of our channel, are a very smart and articulate and intelligent bunch. Now, our requests are not only requests, they're also questions. Now, one of the followers of our channel, a very learned guy, big hockey fan, Robert Mendoza, made a request recently on this player. And he asked straight out, he said, Jeffrey, why do you think this guy's not in the Hockey Hall of Fame? Well, Robert, that's the best question, and you win our Listener of the Week award. It's not a real prize. It'll be in the mail, or no prize like the old Marvel Comics. Now, when Pierre Turgeon first came to the NHL, a lot of people, he said he's going to be comparable to Pat LaFontaine, Guy Lafleur, Gilbert Perreault. Now, he scored more than 500 goals in the NHL, and that should be enough on a resume to get him in, but for whatever reason, he's not a big fan within the media for events seen or unseen, and not the American media, but the Canadian media. And we're going to get into this a little bit. Now, Pierre Julien Turgeon was born on August 28, 1969, in the beautiful Quebec community of Rouen, Quebec. Now, he has served many titles in retirement, including the offensive coordinator for the LA Kings of the NHL. He is currently the most productive retired player not yet included in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Now selected first overall by the Sabres in '87 entry draft, he played in the major leagues for Buffalo, New York Islanders, Montreal Canadiens, St. Louis Blues, Dallas Stars, and Colorado Avalanche. He is the younger brother of former number 2 NHL draft pick Sylvain Turgeon, who also played with the Habs. They are the only two brothers in NHL history to be selected in the number 1 and number 2 slots, and of course in separate years. Now, first came to major prominence with his minor hockey career, but he also represented his home region in the Little League World Series many years ago. Now, statistics-wise, he's midget, or what he called Quebec AAA numbers, were quite strong. He played with the Bourassa Angevin of the QM AAA in '85 with a great 101 points in 41 games. Now, he graduated to Granby Bison of the Q League with 114 points in 69 games. Now, in '86, he also played internationally for Team Canada before playing for them at the World Juniors in '87, and this is where the controversy first started. Now, internationally in '86 for Canada, he had 2 goals and 4 assists for 6 points in 11 contests. Now, the Granby Bison, one of the better seasons in the Q League of the 1980s, 154 points in a regular season in 58 games, including 69 goals and 85 assists, and 15 points in the playoffs. Now, here's where it gets a little bit anti-media. He was a member of Canada's team that was involved in something called the Punch-Up in Piestany, which was a bench-clearing brawl between Canada and Soviet Union during the final game of the '87 World Juniors in Piestany, Czechoslovakia, which is now Slovakia. Now, how it works in Canada, the World Juniors are a big holiday tradition in Canada. All of Canada games are shown. Now, this game was on January 4th, 1987, and it kind of made Don Cherry, because Cherry was commenting with Brian Williams, the big CBC sports reporter back in Canada, about what was going on. Long story short, Canada had to score so many goals against the Russians to win the tiebreaker, get the gold medal. And the Russians were hemming and hawing, punching and clawing, stick work, all kind of different stuff. Now, a brawl eventually broke out. There was 5 players on the ice, they were all Canadian, and the whole Russian bench left. Everybody from the Canadian bench left, except Pierre Turgeon. Now, if you look closely at the video, and I've done a podcast on a punch-up in Piestany, and the full incident is available through a CBC post at YouTube, there's a whole bunch of fights going on, and then they turned the lights off, thinking it was going to stop the fighting. What happens? Both teams got suspended. The whole hell of a controversy going on. '87 had a very strong team. Theo Fleury was there, Everett Sanapa, and back in the studio, Cherry basically said, if we wouldn't have jumped the boards, we were not to be considered men, or not considered Canadian. Brian Williams took the opposing. You can't go through life, starting pure 6 balls. This gave Turgeon very negative respect within the English media and some of the Quebec media. But I don't expect Pierre Turgeon to fight anybody, but he could have just went on the ice and paired off and not fight, but we're one man down during the brawl, and some players could have been severely injured. Now, when he was drafted by the Buffalo Sabres as the first overall pick, consensus pick, this wasn't really a factor in the States, but in Canada, of course, it was talked about a little bit. Now, the play-by-play announcer, Rick Jeanneret of the Sabres, eventually coined the phrase, "Ooh la la Pierre" for Turgeon. Now, Turgeon would quickly make an impact with the Sabres once he arrived. In his rookie campaign, he had 42 points, including 14 goals and 28 assists during the 88 campaign, helping the Sabres reach the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time in 3 years. His production increased to 88 points in 89, including 34 goals, and he quickly became a fan favorite. Very handsome guy, very genial with the fans. Now, in the 1990 season, he became a star in the NHL hierarchy by getting 40 goals and 106 points in that campaign, and he also skated in the 1990 NHL All-Star team. Now, the 91 season, he dropped to 79 points, but it was a solid performer. But there was rumors going around that some kind of shit was going to happen, and sure enough, one of the biggest trades of the early 1990s. On October 25th, 91, after over 4 years with the Sabres, Turgeon was eventually traded, along with Benoit Hogue, Yuri Krupp, and Dave McElwain, almost one quarter of their squad, to the Oilers in exchange for Pat LaFontaine, Randy Wood, Randy Hillier, and future considerations. Now, at the time, LaFontaine's concussion situation was not too well known. A lot of people thought it was a one-sided trade. Now, but it seems like for the short term, the Islanders got the best of the trade. Turgeon's best season as an Islander was in 93, where he scored 58 goals, 130.2 points, and helped lead the Islanders to the Wales Conference Finals, where he would lose to eventual Stanley Cup champions, the Montreal Canadiens, in 5 games. En route, the Islanders defeated the Washington Capitals and upended the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, the first-round series was highly controversial because when the Islanders won in 6 games, it was infamous for an on-ice incident involving Turgeon. After scoring a goal that put the Islanders up 5-1 during Game 6 at Nassau, Turgeon was checked from behind by that goon Dale Hunter of the Capitals as he celebrated his goal. Turgeon eventually suffered a separated shoulder and missed the ensuing series against the Penguins. Hunter received a dead record 21-game suspension for the hit. Turgeon returned for the semifinals against Montreal, but was not the same because he missed 7 contests up until the semis. The Islanders bowed out of the playoffs after a tough 5-game loss to Montreal, where several games went overtime. Now, after defeating the Islanders, the Canadiens went on to win the Stanley Cup. Now, ironically, as an Islander, Turgeon was awarded the Lady Byng in 93, taking over for Gretzky, who was dominating the trophy for a number of years. Now, following the 95 NHL lockout, in which the campaign was limited to 48 games, Islander general manager Don Maloney decided to rebuild the team, which including trading Turgeon and Vladimir Malhoff to the Canadiens in exchange for the very popular Kirk Muller, Matthew Schneider, and role player Craig Darby at the trade deadline. Turgeon would be named captain of the Canadiens almost immediately for the 96 season after the departure of Mike Keane to the Avalanche in December of 1995 as part of the Patrick Roy deal. Now, during the 96 season, Turgeon would nearly record a 100-point year for Montreal with 96 points, including 38 goals, and was also an NHL All-Star. Now, the pressure of the Quebec media was on him heavily, and after only scoring 1 goal in his first part of the season in 96, October, a bad month for Turgeon, was traded to the Blues along with Roy Fitzpatrick and Craig Conroy in exchange for Murray Byrne, Shane Corson, and a 5th-round pick in the 97 NHL entry draft. Now, a lot of people felt that Turgeon should not have been traded. If Montreal wanted Corson back, they could have gave him a little bit better, but this just was a series of bad deals for Montreal in the mid-1990s. Now, Turgeon spent the next 5 seasons producing well with the likes of Brett Hull, Chris Pronger, Al McGinnis, and Grant Fuhr as teammates. He averaged more than 70 points per year and scored several key postseason goals during his tenure in St. Louis. Now, on July 1st, 2001, Turgeon left St. Louis and signed with Dallas as free agent, followed by the Colorado Avalanche as on free agency on August 3rd, 2005. Now, Turgeon took a year off during the 2005 lockout. Upon signing with the Avalanche, he switched his jersey to number 87, his customary 77, as the number was retired by Colorado for Ray Bourque. Now, on November 8, 2005, in one of the biggest games in his career, he became the 34th NHL player to score 500 goals, doing so against the Sharks. On September 5, 2007, Turgeon announced his retirement from the NHL. As of this writing, he's the highest scoring player in NHL history who is otherwise eligible and has not been elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Now, on July 10, 2007, Turgeon was named as defensive coordinator of the Kings, but on June 8, 2018, the Kings announced that he accepted Turgeon's resignation to leave the organization due to family reasons. Now, kind of weird about Turgeon as well, he's part of other sport history. Now, George W. Strawbridge Jr. was an active shareholder of the Sabres and a director and member of the Teams Executive Committee for 3 decades. Name one of his turbid races in Pierre Turgeon's honor. Turgeon raced for Strawbridge Racing Stable in France, where he won several conditions races, and after retiring, is developing into a successful sire or stud. Well, if he looks like Pierre Turgeon, I got no problem with the ladies. Now, Turgeon and his wife Elizabeth have 4 children and currently live in Cherry Hills Village, Colorado. One of their children, Elizabeth, unfortunately died in a car accident on December 23, 2010, near Vaughan, New Mexico, at the young age of 18. Now, Turgeon, also, again, a multi-sport athlete. He represented Canada in the Little League World Series in '82. Now, Turgeon's son, Dominic, was drafted 63rd overall by the Red Wings in the 2014 NHL entry draft. And his daughter is also a great player, Valerie Turgeon, who was a forward for Harvard Crimson women's ice hockey team, playing 2 seasons for that vaunted side. Now, awards, again, 5 NHL All-Star Game appearances, 90, 93, 94, 96, 2000, Lady Byng in 93. Now, the breakdown of this, 1990, again, that 40-goal season in 1990, the 58-goal season in 93, 2 38s back-to-back in 92 and 94, scored another 38 goals in Montreal 96, first 2 years in St. Louis, 25-22, then 21-26-30, and 3 10-goal seasons plus with Dallas, then 16 with Colorado. Now, for a lot of people, he's been a disappointment in the media. It's hard to believe. They thought he was going to score like at least 700-800 goals. But 1,294 contests, a point a game pace, 1327, 515 in the counters, 812 assists. But his playoff numbers were quite impressive as well. 109 games, 35 goals, 62 assists for 97 points. Now, the Oilers' big run in 93, of course, St. Louis's run in 99, and the run in 2001 has drawn a lot of interest because he was a number 1 second-line player. Now, Turgeon's, to me, game can best be described as the perfect centerman. 6'1", 200 pounds, good skills on the ice, good passing, good shooting, could play with anybody. But what happened in Montreal, and I'm just going to break this down very simply, and I covered this as well. When he showed up in 1995, we figured, hey, there's going to be something that's going to bring Montreal in that 96 season. Again, 96 points, but he failed in the playoffs that year. But the next season, when he only had 1 goal in his first 9 games, they were looking to get rid of him. So, I mean, he only gave him the captaincy for 1 year, and maybe they didn't feel he wasn't enough of a French superstar to stay with Montreal. But if Montreal would have waited in the trade for Turgeon and waited for the young players to come up, who knows what could have happened. He could have played his rest of his career with Montreal, because any player that comes into Montreal and puts almost up together a 100-point season or first year, and to be traded because of it, what they're expecting, 100, 130 points? I mean, come on. Just Pierre Turgeon is a 100-point guy. He's your typical, 40, 60, 100. Now, by the way, the details at Pierre Turgeon, he had 3 goals in those 6 games, of course, Canada's disqualification. Now, I want to just break this down, and Mr. Mendoza knows this, and I just want to put it all together for you. Because I'm just going to call this up here, and I apologize for delay, but 500 goals is supposed to be the earmark for NHL players, because you got all these Montreal Canadiens, all the key players. Now, I want you to think about this for a second, okay? The key players here. Now, 500 goals, all the way through. You got like 500 plus. You got Gretzky, Gordie Howe, Jagr, Brett Hull, Ovechkin, and he's still active. He's at 738. Marcel Dion, Phyllis Vizito, Mike Gartner, Messi, Yzerman, Mary Lemieux, Timo Solani, Luc Robitaille, Brendan Shanahan, Dave Arderchuk, Joe Sakic, Jerome McGillna, Bobby Hull, Dino Ciccarelli, Yari Curry, Mark Recchi, Mike Bossy, Patrick Marleau, who's still active, of course, Matt Sundin, Joe Newendike, Mike Modano, Guy Lafleur, Johnny Busick, Ron Francis, Michel Goulet, Merce Richard, Stan Mikita, Keith Tkachuk, still eligible, of course, Frank Mahovlich, Marian Hossa, Brian Trotry, Pat Verbeek, Dale Howardchuk, then Pierre Turgeon. So behind him is Jeremy Roenick. So that's another one going on as well. So again, the amount of time that has gone by that Pierre Turgeon has not been in the league, and Keith Tkachuk as well. So it's kind of a head scratcher, ladies and gentlemen, because we don't know exactly what is going to take to get Turgeon in. And Peter Bondro's on that list too, as we know. By the way, sorry, at the time, talking about eligibility, Turgeon has been more years eligible than Tkachuk. That's what I want to say. So, but again, the Peter Bondra was a little bit before Turgeon, December 26, 2006, and it's going to be a head scratcher, because was Pierre Turgeon one of the top players of the 1990s? Was he top 15, top 20? Of course. So why is he in the Hall of Fame? Now it's kind of bizarre as we look at it, but I think if he would have won a Stanley Cup or a world title for Canada, he'd be in. But Mr. Mendoza makes a good point, and I thank you for that posting. From an American perspective, who's seen him play, because he never played for a Canadian team, by the way. Colorado, of course, out of Quebec. The Quebec media was always on his back. And he would end the season with 38 goals. He said should have got 50. There were certain games he was only getting 1 or 2 goals. He wouldn't score in bunches. He was averaging like a point a game. You usually get a point a game. And a lot of people felt he should have been doing more, especially against the typical rivals. And in Buffalo, it's 6 of some and the half dozen of the other. Did Turgeon have a strong enough team to win in Buffalo? No. Do you have a strong enough team to win the Cup with the Islanders? Yes, but he got injured. You can't blame a player for being injured. You're cross-checked by Goon, by Dale Hunter. It's not your fault they lost the Cup. But you look at the Francophones in this list, right? You got Dion, Lemieux, Robitaille, Mike Bossy, Patrick Marleau again. He's still active. Marleau was at 566 games. So technically, Maurice Richard, he is a top 20 Francophone hockey player of all time. So I do not represent the Francophones. And this goes to the controversy from my colleague Bob Sirois, saying that some of the Q players are treated unfairly before they're drafted or in their coverage. Neither here nor there. So I mean, Turgeon, in my opinion, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Does he deserve more respect? Yes, but like I said, the media, look how they treated the Chicago situation over the last number of years. It's an old man's network. Maybe Turgeon didn't do the right interview or rub somebody the wrong way, and maybe too much of a pretty boy? I don't know, but like I said, it's the way it goes. So ladies and gentlemen, this is our latest in our Vintage NHL podcast. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Just like Mr. Mendoza, don't forget to make a request if you don't see the podcast on the channel. We have more than 2,000 podcasts now active on the channel, from movie, sports, TV, politics, all kind of stuff. If you see something that's not there, ask for requests. I do movie reviews, all kind of different stuff. I don't review cooking because I'm a diabetic, and every time I eat something that's great for me, my sugars go up. So I get frustrated like a Quebec media member in the mid-90s talking about Pierre Turgeon. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, stay safe, keep your stick in the ice. Bye.